Hey, welcome to another episode. Hey, listen, last time, if you watched my last video, I got a lot of heat for that. People were like, oh man, you're always talking smack. You're always, that was a negative video. That wasn't normal Sunny Singh that's always happy. Man, I was just telling you the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. Today, we're going to talk about the truth again. It's not going to hurt. It's just going to be a wake-up call. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Sunny Singh. I've been in the mortgage business for 21 years. And during this time, I've seen it all. I've done mortgages, I've wholesaled properties, I've flipped properties, I've worked with investors, I've been a top producer for a home builder, and as of the last few years, I've kind of just wanted to put more information out there, real information out there as I head towards the end of my career. So with that being said, today we're going to talk about aging out. I got a lot of people that were like, Sunny, is right now a time to buy? And right now, when this video is being shot, we're in 2024. And so maybe this ages well, maybe it doesn't. But I said no. I said, unless you're getting an incredible deal at acquisition. Right? That's why flippers flip. That's why investors invest. They're trying to win at the buy. So if a house is worth $450 and I'm getting it for $400 or $399 or $385 or less, right? And it needs a little bit of smidge of work, which majority of them do, to update, to modernize, and after repair value of, let's say $465, and I'm walking into some equity, great acquisition. Good on my part, because if there's a 10% or a 15% drop in the market and my $45,000 of equity is wiped away, I'm still at break-even point. In comparison to if I bought a house for $455 that still needs work and I got into a multiple bidding war option or, multiple bidding war scenario, and now I overpaid more than the asking price and it was listed correctly at time of list. So let's say that same example was listed for $450. I bid it up to $465. I overpaid. That didn't even appraise. I paid the difference in appraisal. And now I'm doing the work and I'm into it for $480. And now there's a correction and it goes down to $420. Well, ouch, I'm stuck now. I don't have an exit. So I see a lot of misguided home buyers fall into that second example that I gave. They're buying a home that needs work. They're seeing some potential in it. They have buyer fatigue. They're tired. They're legitimately tired. They're like, oh, I put 3 offers out. None of them got accepted. So this next one, we're just going to do it. And it's so far detached from what their original search was. Like they started on day one at pre-qual with, I want a pool. I want a 4-bedroom. I want a 3-bathroom. And it's got to be in this zip code. And now here we are 2 months later, a month and a half later, because of, I think social media gives us all short attention spans. So the attention span's a lot shorter, but those buyers a month and a half later get fatigue. They're so used to making this an instant process when it's not. And then they'll go ahead and pull the trigger. They'll buy a house and they'll get into multiple bids and they'll settle for something that was the opposite of what they initially started out searching for. So Sunny, is it a good time to buy? Yes, if you win at the acquisition. Yes, if you're working with a solid agent and they're running strong comparable sales and they know how to negotiate. My favorite slogan, steal it. Steal this slogan. My favorite slogan in the world, in the whole wide world. It's not Nike, just do it. That's a good one, by the way. It's, you're going to hate my offer. You're going to love my terms. Oh, you're going to hate my offer, but you're going to love my terms. You know how many times I've said that? You know how many times it's worked? Hey, you're asking $450 for it. You're going to hate my offer. I'm going to come in at $360, but you're going to love my terms. I'm going to close in the next 3 days. What? Or as fast as your escrow officer will allow me to. What? Yeah, and this is an exploding offer. This expires at 5 p.m. Let me know. Now, does it always work? No, seller's the wrong way, but I know how to present it and it works. And I think of it as an investment, as you should. If you're being told, oh, you shouldn't look as an investment, it's home, it's the house. They're trying to get you from head to gut. It's a sales tactic. They're trying to get you from head to gut. Stay in your head. Numbers don't lie. It's the only reason I'm in this business. I don't trust people. I have trust issues. I have majorly trust issues. I don't trust anybody. You know what I mean? So with that being said, here's one genre of folks that need to buy, in my opinion. If you fit in this genre, this category of folks, I strongly suggest you look. Because the one thing that you can't outwait is time, okay? I'm talking about the aging buyer, okay? So for example, I'm 42 years old. All right, I'll be 42 years old this year, so I'm 42 years old. Imagine if I never owned a home, okay? I'm gonna use two comparables, okay? I'm gonna use a 30-year-old buyer, and I'm gonna use me, a 42-year-old buyer, okay? The 30-year-old buyer buys a home, has, toddlers at home or has, young kids at home. Elementary schools are important. Location is important, as it always is, but so much more. And that person's motivation is security. If they're renting, they don't know if a landlord's going to approach them to say, hey, you need to move because I'm thinking about selling. So they don't want to have that conversation. So out of fear and racing flight to security and safety for their family, as a leader of that family, they're going to lock in a mortgage. Now, let's say they lock in a 30-year mortgage. If they're 30, the math don't lie. 30 plus 30 years is 60. If they don't make an additional payment, if they don't add more to principal, on their 60th birthday, let's say they close on their 30th birthday, they're paid off. Most people retire when? I mean, 401ks allow you to draw for after 59 and a half. Most people are retiring right now at 60 to 65. It's facts. So that mortgage helps meet that person's retirement age. Okay. They don't have to go into a fixed income scenario or a pension scenario worried about a higher mortgage that they could afford, their debt to income ratio could afford during their higher working, ages, their higher income earning years. Okay. They also get to raise their kids there. They get to, they're worried about, schools. So they get to elementary, middle, and high. Okay. If they do decide to sell 10 years later, they have paid down 10 years of amortization of principal on their mortgage. Sure, a lot of it went to interest, but they did contribute to principal. And who knows, they may have seen that 3 to 5% appreciation year after year that California's shown us in the last track record that it had. Now let's go over to the 42-year-old guy, Sonny. Sonny's going to buy a house. Well, it's not as normal. I mean, not saying that doesn't happen, but if I had started having children the same buyer A that was 30, then my kids are probably in the end of middle school or starting high school. Okay. So now it's like the good school years have passed by. Maybe I got lucky and I rented in a good school area, good school district. But let's say I didn't. Let's say I was waiting this entire time for home prices to fall or the right home to come on or just trying to get by, This whole time I've had to deal with looking over my shoulder if a landlord was going to boot me or not. So I have instability. And I wanted to lead so bad, but I couldn't. Reason A, reason B, reason C, tell me why. Finances, we just had to make do, right? So now I go buy a home and I'm looking at a 30-year, but that puts me at 72, 73. So if I retire at 60, it gives me 13 to 12 years of my off-peak, non-high income earning years, my retirement years, where I don't even know if the mortgage is going to be affordable because that payment is fixed to the last payment. So the wise move would be looking at a 20 or a 15-year loan, which is going to come with a much heftier payment. But nobody talks about that. We have more 40, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds getting 30-year loans right now than ever before. They're even talking about bringing a 40-year loan in to the game, back to the game. My God, we're enslaved to our mortgage for 40 years? How does that make sense? It doesn't. So here's what does make sense. If you're watching this video and you feel like you've met Sonny's definition of aging out, you're in your 40s or late 40s or early 50s and you haven't bought a home, but you've wanted to buy a home. You either want to buy a home because you're sick of renting, or your motivator is that you want to leave something behind for a legacy. You want to leave something behind to loved ones, or whatever it might be. You want to build, wealth through real estate. No one has told you that you have to stay put in one area. No one has told you, hey, you got to buy in California because you were born and raised in Cali. Are you kidding me? I was born and raised in the Bay Area. I lived in the IT area. I lived in the best premier area of Livermore, California, as well as Dublin Ranch, California. Like, fact check me. $3 million homes, okay? And I made the decision of leaving a heavy Silicon Valley infested area. I wanted my kids to grow up playing baseball. I wanted them to play football and wrestle and have friends that were very diverse, not just one genre. I wanted them to have the childhood I had. We had a Jamal, a Michelle A, Michelle B, a Michael. We had a Muhammad and a Sandeep in the class. It was so mixed. But what happens is one income type comes in, or one industry type comes in, and they saturate an area. And that's a topic for another day. So that's what happened with Livermore and Dublin now and Pleasanton now. It's overran by people who could not afford Fremont and Milpitas and San Jose anymore. And they sought a safe haven of coming to Dublin, Pleasanton, San Ramon, and they just took over. You know what I mean? So now my wife and I did the data points and we moved to Placer County. This is our version of moving out of state. We walk the talk is what I'm trying to say. So the advice I'm giving you ain't something that I would not do myself. If I'm in my 40s right now or in my 50s right now and I want to buy real estate and I'm looking at a job that's paying me, it's a job, not a career. And I know I can pick up another career in the same line of work or maybe even better or maybe even a little bit lower, but my cost of living is going to be better. Then I'm looking out of state right now. I'm looking out of state on a 15-year fixed mortgage to meet my retirement. Because I don't know about you, I want to fish and I want to travel the world and I don't want to work when I'm 62, 65, 70 years old to pay my bills. I ain't doing it. I hope this video resonated with you. I hope it hit you to the core. And if you want to take action or just want a sounding board, someone to talk to that's not going to sell you on anything, just going to be a sounding board to you in hopes that we can do business, reach out to me.